Hi everyone, welcome to the Zoho Survey Advanced Feature webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I am Miles Vivek, and in this session we will cover all the advanced features Zoho Survey offers, as well as a short demonstration on how to use these features in your survey. We will also cover portal creation and user management, features that are exclusive to our enterprise customers. If you have any questions while the webinar is on, feel free to ask them in the chat. Our team is standing by to help you. The initial portion of this webinar is pre-recorded. Later, a member of our team will take over for a live session to clarify a few of the more pertinent and interesting questions that come up on chat. If you have seen our webinar on the basics of Zoho Survey, you know that there are 3 ways in which you can start creating a survey. Number 1, create it from scratch by using a blank template. Number 2, with the help of our wide range of survey templates. And number 3, by using an existing survey you have already made. For this webinar though, we will be focusing on the advanced features of a fully fledged survey. To show you these features, I'll be using a survey that I recently created. This survey is set up to collect feedback on a webinar that I recently given. I haven't applied any of the advanced features to it yet. So let's get started. Personalizing your survey. You can add neat tricks to make your survey look more personal. For example, the third question in this survey, "Hi, have you attended the Basics webinar?" can sound a whole lot better if we put the respondent's name in the greeting. Don't worry, you don't need to type in every one of your respondents' name manually. All you have to do is use this piping option with each question. So click on the question and keep your cursor next to the text, "Hi," then click Insert Variable. Now you have 2 options here. The first is to fill in the name by taking details from the URL. I can demonstrate this by adding the name parameter to my URL. In this case, the parameter name is param-name. However, you can edit it to your choice. I'll change it to name. If I copy paste the survey link into another tab, I can add the additional parameter $name is equal to, let's say, Anna, to the end of the URL. Now when the recipient follows the link, they will see their name, in this case Anna, appear in the greeting. Isn't that great? Now, the second way to personalize your survey is to use the information from other questions. This time, when you click Insert Variable, choose the Name option and click Save. This option takes what the respondent has written in answer to the name question above. To see it in action, we can go to Preview, type in the name, and it will appear automatically for the third question. Looks good, doesn't it? This piping option turns up in a lot of other places. For example, when you customize your thank you page, it works exactly the same way. Now let's look at some of the other advanced options that Zoho Survey provides. I'll walk you through the list. The first feature is Custom Variables option. These can help us include information about the respondent in the survey without the respondent actually having to answer those questions. It mainly helps us avoid asking for information that we already know. For example, suppose I remove the email question from the survey, but I still want to know the respondent's email address. I can add a custom variable, and the email address will show up in the reports. All we need to do is just go to Custom Variables and add the URL parameter as email. Make sure you make note of what you write in this field because you have to use the exact same variable name in the URL while sending out the survey. The report's label is like a title for this particular custom variable in the report section. I'll put in email address and change the type to email. The next step is to send out the survey with the variable included in the URL. To show you how this works, I will copy and paste the link from the Launch tab into a new tab as a URL and add email is equal to anna@xyz.com. That's just a sample parameter I'm using. Now the survey will open up, and this email address will be recorded along with the recipient's responses. Now, you can also automate the process by using Zoho CRM, Zoho Campaigns, or MailChimp. Once the respondents submit the survey, the first box labeled C1, which contains your first custom variable, will be displayed in your reports. And below this box, you'll see the email address of the people who have submitted responses. You can do this for any other variable as well, like phone number or ID. Neat, right? So you can reduce the number of questions in your survey, making it look less cluttered and still get the information you need. It's a win-win. Now, before I get to the next option, let me quickly describe another cool feature. Let's say that when I send the survey out, I already know the name field for a few respondents and I want it to be filled automatically into the survey. To do that, edit the name question and check the box that says Prepopulate Answer. You can now take the answer from the URL or give it an initial value. If I take it from the URL, I need to name the parameter. The name can be anything, but for our sanity, I'm going to keep it simple and just use name. Now, when I send the survey, I'll add the parameter name is equal to, let's say, Anna to the URL. Now, when the survey loads, the name question will already have an answer, Anna. Or I can have the text box populated with an initial value. For this, I will set up an organization field. Now, let's say I'm running the survey for a single organization named Zilker Inc. I'll choose the initial value from the value from option and set the initial value for the organization question as Zilker Inc. So when I access the survey, the answer is pre-filled with Zilker Inc. This is an easy way to reduce the amount of time respondents take to answer your survey. And now for the scoring feature. Not all questions in a survey are equally important. Some may be more critical than the others. This is where scoring comes into the picture. It allows you to assign weights or scores to the questions based on their importance to your survey goals. It can also be used if you are making a quiz where you want to easily calculate a score at the end. For my survey, I want to figure out which of my customers are most satisfied and most engaged with our webinars. I want to give respondents a lead score, so they get 3 points if they watched the previous webinar. So for the question, how did you hear about this webinar? I'm going to assign multiple values based on which the responses are most important for my survey goals. Because hearing about this webinar from other webinars is most important for me, I assign a score of 3 to other webinars. 1 each to the sales and support teams, 2 for the website, and 1 for the help page. I'll assign scores in a range of -2 to 2 for the questions asking about satisfaction with each aspect of the webinar. And finally, a score of 1 to 10 for the overall satisfaction. To check the scores, I can go to the Reports section. Each respondent's score will be at the top of their results. The higher this score is, the happier and more engaged my customer is. Now, say I'm running my survey in Canada and I'd like it to be in both English and French. What do? Translate it. Just click on the Translate Survey option. And under Choose a Language, select French and click Translate. Now all your questions are automatically translated and you can edit it further to your liking. If you want to see the original English text again, just click View Original. And when your translation is ready, you can go ahead and click Update. Now let's see a preview of how it will look. Woohoo! It looks great! Now your respondent will see the option to change the language in the header, and they can click to see and answer our French survey. Bonjour! And the respondent will see the option to change the language in the header, and they can click to see and answer our French survey. Laissez les bon temps rouler. The next option is Trigger Emails, with which you can set up automatic email notifications for every response you receive or based on the respondent's answer. Let's start simple. I need an email notification every time a response is submitted, and I want it to show the whole response within the email. So I'll just type in my email address in the To field, which is robin@zilker.com. I'll add a subject. Let's say you have got feedback, and the message could go something like, I don't know, you have a new feedback for the webinar. I'll insert the variable all responses so that the email contains the whole response that the survey taker submitted. And that's it. Now I also want to set up another email trigger. I want to send an email thanking the respondent every time they give a rating of over 6 on their overall satisfaction, because that's very nice. I'll start by clicking Create Email Trigger and adding a condition that if the value for overall satisfaction rating is greater than 6, the email should be sent. And by default, the from address will be my own account, but I can add another email addresses if I don't want to show or use my own email account. It'll be added to the list after receiving a confirmation email to make sure I'm entering the right email address. And for the To address, I'll insert a custom variable email address I set up. And I will set the subject as, let's say, thank you for your response. And the message will be, hello, thank you for your kind response. We work really hard to improve our webinars and are thrilled that you liked it. And if you need anything, feel free to contact us at support@zohosurvey.com. Regards, Team Zoho Survey. To make it more personal, I'll insert a variable after hello, which will insert the user's answer to the question name. So it kind of addresses them with their name. Pretty cool, huh? Now to finish, I'll just click Save Trigger. Now, every time a respondent gives us a rating of over 6, a custom thank you message is sent to the email address they have provided. And now we have trigger function. Let me show you this feature on a new survey called Contact Details. Now one thing about this survey is that in addition to the name, company, mobile, and email information, we've also added another question in which we ask our respondents for a proposal of how much amount or pricing they suggest for a Zoho survey. Now back to trigger function. This function allows users to initiate functions when a response has been submitted. And this feature runs on Deluge, a programming language built by Zoho. You must have heard about it if you've used Zoho Creator. Now, it connects Zoho Survey to any third-party application and perform various actions. Now, this could be anything from triggering a support ticket on Zoho Desk when a bad review comes in, to sending text messages every time a response is submitted, or even giving your respondents a gift card. Trigger functions have a few templates that you can see by clicking the Templates tab. Now let's have a look at a simple use case for adding records to any CRM account that you have through connecting them with their APIs. So here's how it works. Go to the Advanced Option tab on the survey you want to enable trigger function for, and then click on Trigger Function. And you'll be taken to the Deluge editor where you can code and configure the triggers. Now the Deluge editor has a few templates that you can see by going to the Templates tab, and they can be used by clicking on the options to copy and pasting them into your code and editing it to suit your needs. We will update this list regularly, so you might want to keep an eye on it. Okay, now I'm going to write the code that will allow us to take the data from Zoho Survey and add it to any CRM account. And for the ease of demonstration, we're going to use Zoho CRM as the CRM service we're going to connect this survey with. Now, as I mentioned before, there are pre-written codes available in the templates option. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a pre-written code from the templates for Zoho CRM, which creates records in the contacts module. And then I'm going to map the variables from the survey. For example, the name, email, and the proposed amount variable. And the next step here is creating a connection with the API of the CRM service. So now that I've pasted the variable in my survey, the amount part will always be linked to the responses that I get for the question, what pricing would you suggest for Zoho survey? So now the next step is creating a connection with the API of the CRM service we're trying to push our data into. In this case, it is Zoho CRM. So we go to Manage Connections and click Add Connection, go to Zoho, and in the scope, we have to choose the Zoho CRM API and click Create and Connect. So now our survey is connected to Zoho CRM service. So anytime a person updates our survey or responds to our survey, the data that they apply will be automatically updated in our Zoho CRM account. The next set of options are the collaboration tools, the first of which is Invite Reviewers. As the name suggests, this allows you to give your colleagues access to the survey so they can review it and leave comments for you to take it into consideration. It's a great way to collaborate. All you have to do is add their email address and just send them an invite and set a deadline for the review. The next feature is Share Survey. This feature also helps you collaborate with your colleagues, but it goes a step further. By sharing your survey, you will essentially be making them a co-owner of your survey. They will get access to edit the survey and view analytics and reports that will come in once you publish the survey. Again, all you need to do is just input your collaborator's email and click Share. But make sure they have a Zoho account or they won't be able to access it. Now the next option is Send Copy. You can send a copy of the survey to the recipients without sending the reports, which means you will be retaining ownership of the survey and its reports. You can share it to individual users or to other departments. And the Transfer Survey is another option to help facilitate collaboration. You can move the survey and reports to the recipient. They will get a notification that you have transferred the survey to them. Once they accept the transfer, they will complete the ownership of the survey and it will no longer exist in your account. You can transfer the survey either to individual accounts or to departments as a whole. All you have to do is put in the email address or department and click Yes, Transfer Survey. If you would rather download your survey instead, you can use the option Export as PDF and just choose the language that you want to go with. Our last advanced option is Print Survey. You can print your entire survey in the default language or in any language the survey has been translated into. We also have the options to add tags. Now tags let you label your surveys and make them easily accessible using the search and filter options on your My Surveys page. For example, I'm going to tag this survey as webinar. Now, Over on the My Surveys page, if I search for webinar, all the surveys tagged with webinar will turn up. Now, that's the end of our advanced options in the Editor tab. Now let's move on to the Launch tab, where we mentioned survey collectors in our basic webinars if you remember watching it. Now, I can use collectors if I have different groups of respondents and I want to apply different setting to each group or view the reports for each separately. For example, this webinar will also be uploaded to YouTube, but I want the number of responses from that audience to be limited to 1,000. Now, all I have to do is add the collector first by going to the collectors list and clicking on the drop-down arrow. Then click Add Collector in the drop-down. Name your collector, which I'll call YouTube in this case. Select the collector from the drop-down. Go to Restrictions. Enter 1,000 in the maximum response count and click Save. As some eagle-eyed viewers might have already observed, the survey link is different for each collector. So you can filter responses from each collector on your reports. We will get to reports filters in a bit. By default though, our reports will show all responses from all collectors. Once you add a collector, you add logic based on the different collectors. Let me show you how it works. Go to the End Page Logic section in the Settings tab. I want to show my YouTube viewers a different thank you page when they submit their response. I'll click Add Logic and then select YouTube from the collectors section in the drop-down. Then select one of the options from the drop-down. I'm going to choose Custom Message and I'll type in my message, which would be thank you for your feedback. We have a couple of more webinars which you can watch right away. And I'm just going to put the names of the webinars, which would be Basics webinar and Integrations webinar. And since this is a rich text editor, I can actually hyperlink them to the actual webinar videos. Then I'll click Save Settings and we are done. Now every YouTube viewer will see this page after they submit their response. If you have translated your survey into other languages, you can change the default language of your survey from English by clicking the downward arrow and selecting the language you want to be the default language. After which, the survey will load automatically into the language that you have selected, but they can always be switched into another selected language. Now, back in our Launch tab, we can see another advanced option called Email Distribution. This feature allows you to send emails with the survey links from within Zoho Survey. It completely eliminates the need for you to go to a third-party application to send out mass mailers. So how do you do it? All you need to do is click Create Email, type in the email address or import your contacts from a CSV or XLS file, add in the subject. You can even edit the email template to some extent by changing the message and some formatting options like the background and font colors, etc. You can even remove the Zoho survey footer if you wish, but I'll keep it in though. And to save the changes, click OK and then hit send whenever you're ready to send out your campaign. And now comes the visibility option. This feature is uniquely useful to organizations which run on Zoho. If you already use Zoho Mail and Zoho Chat, you might know about the ability to create groups. You can publish your survey to only the members of a group. Select Private and use the drop-down to choose whether your group is based on an organization or a private chat group and click Save. For example, my survey can only be answered by the members of Zilker group in my organization. Let me remove that now because I would like you all to access it too. Also, as I mentioned here, you can go to the restrictions option to prevent multiple responses if you want to. We also have the Buy Responses option for those who wish to expand their reach for survey audience. The Buy Responses features help connect with qualifying respondents to collect the responses. This feature is generally used for market research when you want to send out a survey to an anonymous crowd. So, how do you go about buying responses? First, click on Buy Responses on the left pane. Make sure you don't have any personal identifying questions in your survey. If you do, then delete it from your survey. Once you're done, click Continue and then go on to choosing the number of responses you require and select the incidence rate. Incidence rate is the percentage of respondents who you think would qualify for your survey. Then select the country you wish to target for your survey, and then the same with age, gender, and household income. If you want to customize the gender balance, click Custom and select the percentage by using the slider, and you can do the same with age. Once you're done selecting your target audience, click on Calculate and the total cost will appear for the purchase. Click Checkout Now to proceed with the payment. To view the details of the purchase, click on the Show drop-down arrow. We have now covered all the advanced options from the Editor till the Launch tab, and now we have the Report tab to cover. However, we just created a survey, so there aren't going to be any responses yet. So I'll be opening up a report for a survey we ran a while back on our products logout page. And as always, you can access the report from the survey listing or by going on the survey and clicking the reports icon. The survey is a simple Net Promoter Score survey asking our users to rate us on a scale of 0 to 10, followed by a customized question based off of the rating. We also asked them if they would be interested in a referral program. Here's a report for the survey. Now the first tab shows a summary of the responses, and the next one shows each response individually. For this webinar, we'll focus on how to manage reports and create filters, and also other advanced reporting options. Now there are various ways we can manage our reports. It can be done through creating filters, custom reports, crosstab reports, and trend reports. After these reports are created, we can find them in left pane under the respective reports created in the Summary Response tab. You can filter your responses based on the time they were received, the collectors you used, or the answers you received. To create a new filter, click on the drop-down below Filter By and click Create Filter. For example, for this new filter, I want to see the responses that gave us a perfect 10. And I'm going to name it Perfect 10. I don't have any conditions with regards to the date, but I do want to add a condition. To do that, I'll click the Select a Question under Logic. The question that I'm concerned about is the first one, the recommendation question. This report should only show the responses where this question's answer is equal to 10. I'll add the condition and click Save. This filter will automatically be applied and I will see all the respondents who answered 10 for that question. If we click the Filter By drop-down, you will see that the Perfect 10 filter has been created. We can use the Custom Report option to show only certain questions. For instance, here I want our report to show only the responses to the first question, which asks if they would recommend Zoho survey to a friend. I will name this report NPS question, select just that one question, and click Save. We will now see the newly created report, but I can also see it in the Summary Response tab under the Custom Reports drop-down as NPS question. Now, another kind of report you can create is the Crosstab report. Crosstab report shows a comparison of two multiple choice questions to determine how they are interrelated. For example, I want to see how my first question, which asks, would you recommend Zoho survey to a friend or colleague, is related to my last question, which asks, would you be interested in a referral program? I will name this report Recommendation-Referral. I will select the first question in the first drop-down and the last question in the second drop-down, and click Save. Again, we can now see a bar chart and a table showing us, for example, how many people gave us a 10 on the recommendation question, also gave us a 5 on the referral question. And then we have the trend report. Now this is useful for viewing and compiling statistics by date. You can select a set of questions to appear on the report and customize its layout. For instance, I want a report showing October through December of 2015 broken down by month. So I'll click the drop-down arrow and select Create Filter. Let's name this fourth quarter of 2015, and I want a monthly report, so I'll select by month. The time period is between October and December, and the year is 2015. Choose to include respondent statistics like how many answered each month, and I only want responses to the first question, that is the question about recommendation. And once all of these parameters are set up, I'll just go ahead and click Save. And the trend report we've just created will now be shown. It'll show me a month-by-month report of how people responded to the recommendation question in the fourth quarter of 2015. Sweet. Now with that, we can move on to the other advanced options that are provided under the Reports section. You can share the reports, schedule reports to be mailed to you, and delete responses in bulk. To share any of your reports with your friends or colleagues, click Share. And now you can choose whether you want to share the summary report, individual report, or both. Whether you want to share your default report or the customized one, and whether you want to filter the responses. For example, I want to share the custom report that I created earlier, the NPS question one, and add a filter to show only those who have given us a perfect 10. I'll start by naming the shared report NPS question hyphen perfect 10. And then it's a simple matter of selecting the custom report, which I named NPS question, from the Select a Report dropdown, and selecting perfect 10 from the Select a Filter to Apply dropdown. Now, who do I share this report with? I can share it with a private user, or with the public, or only with those who have a password. To share with a private user, I should just enter the email address of the person and click Share. But for this one, I'm going to share it with everyone, so I'm going to choose Share with the public option and click Save. Now, after we click Save, we'll see the URL which I can use to preview the report myself and then share it with others. Now, everyone who has this URL can see the report I created. Now, the next option is Schedule Reports. You can set up a schedule to deliver your reports on a regular basis, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. You can choose which reports get sent, which filters you want to apply, and to whom you want it sent. To schedule a report, go to Actions, and then Schedule Reports. Give it a name, which I'm unimaginatively going to call it a Scheduled Satisfaction Weekly Report. I want this to be sent to our support team weekly, of course without any filters or customizations. I only want the responses collected within the last week, so I'll keep the option here for data acquired within frequency interval. And finally, I'll enter the email address support@zohosurvey.com. This is my support team's email address, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now, the first report will arrive on next Sunday after I set this up. Now, I'll show you an option that I would rather not use on this particular survey. The responses I have here are great, and they're quite valuable to us. But if you have responses that aren't valuable, you can delete them. Again, to delete it, you go to Actions and then Delete Responses. Now, you can either delete all your responses or filter them and only delete certain responses. Once you make your choice, just click delete, and after one final confirmation, your responses will be deleted. And please remember, deleted responses cannot be recovered. And that covers everything in reports. We will now be taking a look at features that are exclusive to enterprise customers. These features include departments and user management. Now, departments help your team collaborate on surveys. To create a department, click Setup in the top bar and click Create New Department. Name your department, then enter the email addresses of the people you would like to add to your department. And as you can see, if you just type in a few letters of the email address, you'll be able to pick it up from the drop-down as they will be suggested to you. And click Create. Now, please note that your invitees must also have a Zoho account. And those users will be added when they accept the invitation to join a department by creating a Zoho account. You can view the status of your invitations from this page at any time. And now your department is ready. So let's have a look at user management. Everyone you invite to your department is given a member role by default. You can change the role to vendor using the drop-down right next to each email address. The difference between members and vendors is quite simple. Members can view and edit every survey created within a portal. Vendors can view and edit only the surveys they create. To deactivate someone from your portal, you can select the drop-down next to their email address and click Inactive. You can also choose to white label your survey, which is not having Zoho survey as the domain name in your URL. You can use your own organizational domain name in your URL. Before you configure it from our end, you need to go to your DNS provider and change the settings over there. And you can check out our help pages to know how to make those changes. And to configure it from Zoho Surveys end, you can just simply type in your subdomain name in the text box and click Save, and you're good to go. With this, we come to the end of the webinar on the advanced features of Zoho Survey. We have seen the various advanced options you have available when you create and publish your survey. Then we shifted to an existing survey to show you some of the advanced report features. We also explored features that are exclusive to enterprise customers. We have 2 more webinars for you to check out. One is the Basics webinar, which covers the steps from creating a survey to publishing it and ends with a quick look at reports. And we have the Integration webinar, which explains how you can get the most out of Zoho Surveys integrations with Zoho CRM, Campaigns, Zoho Sales IQ, Google Drive, and MailChimp. The survey I created during this session is now live. I would love it if you could give us feedback on how we can improve our webinar at this link. If you need a solution for your specific needs, you can always contact us at support@zohosurvey.com. Now I'm going to turn this over to my support personnel so they can answer some of your questions you have asked over the chat. And again, my name is Miles Vivek, and I thank you very much for joining me today, and we will see you soon in another webinar.